FDA.
Yeah.
How do they interfere with holistic care or just any type of care in general?
Yeah, so the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration, and their job is supposed to be to protect the people. That's their job. But what has happened is they've turned into a suppressor of freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So, like when you go to our website and you see a disclaimer on the bottom, that's because of the FDA. You see a disclaimer on your supplements, that's because of the FDA. The FDA only approves what they want to approve.
It's just so weird.
They're saying that the people are dumb and they know best. It's essentially what they're saying. And so they don't approve any natural supplements. They don't approve any herbs. They don't approve any capsules, any tinctures. But they approve sugary cereals. They approve candy. They approve every junk food that you see at your store is approved by the FDA. So they're obviously approving destructive foods, which we call the poor four foods: gluten, oil, fried, and fake, gluten, oil, fried, and fake. So that right there, we're off to a bad start.
Yeah.
You know? But not only that, they also approve drugs.
Yeah, isn't it like, aren't they funded by pharma themselves?
So they didn't used to be.
Really?
So what happened was they needed to make extra money. So a new act was signed into law by George Bush, the first George Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And he signed in the law that made it so that they can collect fees. So, for example, if Pfizer wanted to get a new drug approved, they would do an application and they would pay a very, very big fee. That fee goes into the budget of the FDA. So now the FDA is making a whole lot of money. So now what's happened is drugs used to take 3 years to get approved.
Oh.
Now they're approved inside of a year.
Without any, like, don't they have to go through like clinical trials? So it's getting approved before the trial?
But that's sponsored as well.
Oh.
So we're in a sponsored system type of thing, you know? And so there's a lot of drugs out there that are experimental. And so the American people, I can't speak for other countries, but the American people are lab rats for 1, 2, 3 years. And then as the reports come in that there's side effects and this, that, and the other, then they go and they take it off the shelf. Ozempic is a great example. That was supposed to be a diabetic drug. And they said, oh, let's take it off the shelf. They revamped it and then they made it a weight loss drug. And it's making a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the number 2 drug in the world right now, Ozempic. Wow. Yep. I know a lot of people on it. I know people who aren't even fat on it. They just want to lose another 10 pounds. It's like, all right, this is getting a little out of control.
Do you know some of the side effects of Ozempic?
Not off the top of my head, but I can imagine that they're not very good.
Yeah. Wow. I remember I saw like one of the directors were being questioned, one of the FDA directors, and it was for like a lotion. And they said like the lotion, they just asked them all these questions. Can the lotion be reviewed for like safety? They were like, no, we can't do that. The lotion, can it be like restricted? They can't restrict it.
Yeah.
If there was toxic ingredients in the lotion, they could not restrict it from going out. They couldn't even give safety information on dosage or anything along those lines for it to go out.
Right.
But they're worried and they're putting all this stipulation on supplements.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And what happened was, so back in the early 80s, before you were born, we had this thing called AIDS. There was an AIDS epidemic. People didn't know what it was and they freaked out. Everybody freaked out there because they saw people dying in front of them, like withering down to bones. And the AIDS activists were saying, we need the drugs. We need the drugs. Where's the drugs? And the pharmaceutical companies were, they had experimental drugs and the FDA wasn't approving it because they were doing their job. They're like, well, the drugs are new and we don't want to take a risk and this, that, and the other. Then a very famous man by the name of Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV in 1991. I remember it clear as day because I was a sports fan. I don't know, 12 years old maybe. I was 12 or something. And we all sat there in front of the TV like it was big. It was a really big deal. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it was like it shook the country. It was like, whoa. And everyone thought that Magic Johnson was going to die in front of our eyes. He was a very, very famous man. He still is. He's still around. FYI, Magic's still here, right? And that sped things up. And so that's what got George Bush to sign the act.
Really?
And once the act was signed, they could bring in the drugs. And then from there on out, all the drugs got rushed. So from about 1992 on, the drugs that hit the market are very experimental. Meanwhile, they don't care about vitamins and minerals, the stuff that makes our body, the raw material that makes our body are criticized and looked at as quackery. You might be surprised to know that supplements were considered food additives up until 1999. Food additives. And because they were considered food additives, the FDA had a major control over them. Thankfully, we had a lot of natural health pioneers really, really speak up. And they started suing the FDA. They started going to court. It was the only way. One of them is one of my teachers, Dr. Joel Wallach. He had the resources, You got to have resources to go after the FDA.
Yeah.
So there was a case in 1999 and the FDA lost. And that made it possible to make claims that you could say things like essential fatty acids may prevent coronary heart disease.
May is crazy.
But what they did is, so now the FDA was like, all right, okay, you wanna be able to make these claims, okay, but we're demanding that you don't make it absolute. So we had to start using words like may and possibly. It's like eating grapes could move your lymphatic system, not will, could. And so everything is very touchy with the language. And then they made it so that you had to put a disclaimer on the product as well. So if you look at your supplements very carefully, somewhere on there it'll say, this product is not reviewed by the FDA, blah, 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 blah. So anyone that's already programmed by the medical monopoly is going to look at the product and say, yeah, this is snake oil.
Yeah.
It's not approved by my government agency. And so it's just the programming. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
And so I think a lot of people have woken up to this type of stuff. I think the so-called pandemic that just passed a few years ago was woke a lot of people up.
Yeah, I think it was needed. It gave people like the chance to step back and say, like, what is actually in my food? What am I actually getting every day? It's like, I think it was a good time. Well, not good all the way, but I think it was necessary in order to kind of wake everybody up.
And shout out to Dr. Joel Wallach, because he also sued the FDA in order to be able to legally say selenium may prevent certain cancers. That's a legal statement.
But he was responsible for like the SIDS, right?
That too.
It's crazy.
A lot of things. Because he was brave enough to take them to court.
Jeez.
But before 1999, you couldn't say any of that. It was completely controlled and suppressed. You know? And so that's just one of the many reasons why we record everything. We get everyone on camera.
Yeah.
Every time one of these members talks about, hey, I had tinnitus for 20 years and it's gone, or I've had hip pain for 40 years and it's gone, it's just more evidence being captured on video.
That's why you call it the case study.
It's the case study. You can't make this stuff up unless I gave all these people money, which would mean I'm a billionaire or something. But it's not the case. People are really healing. And agencies like the FDA, they don't want to hear that. The medical boards don't want to hear that either. In the 1980s, another one of my teachers, Dr. Sabi, he got brought into court for making false claims too. And he brought in 70 people. 70 people came to court and said, no, I had this and I don't have this anymore because of that guy. And the court had no choice but to let him go. They let him go. 70 people testified for him. So, are you guys ready to make a trip to Connecticut? Hopefully, the videos are enough. But what I've been doing is I've been doing my best to stick to just one claim. Instead of saying, yeah, we can reverse this, we can get rid of that, we can cure this, we can do that. I just say, we have the most healing results ever recorded on video. That's it. Claim over. So I don't know who can get me on that.
It does bring a little bit of hope, though, like.
I hope it brings a lot of hope.
Yeah. People, like, if we come together, we can at least combat a whole agency funded by a multi-billion-dollar agency.
Yeah.
It's just crazy what everything has come to.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how long it lasts with social media taking off. Social media is the great game changer.
Yeah.
Because now people can exercise their freedom of speech.
Yeah. You see it all the time under like certain doctor posts. They'll say like they'll make claims and stuff like that, and you'll see the comments. They're just like, "That's incorrect." It's like, "This helped me. Going natural helped me," and it's a beautiful thing just to see all of those comments bombarding. Even under your page, if anybody comes with like any negative or just like medical monopoly-esque thing to say. You see all of the replies saying like, nope, this helped me. This, I benefited from this and whatever. So it's cool. I think we're making some movement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Facebook page is just growing.
Yeah, growing like insane.
The TikTok page is growing. I think the TikTok page is going up 30,000 people a month. 30,000 people a month. The Facebook page is growing between 20 and 25,000 people a month. The Instagram doesn't move. I don't know why. Some say Instagram's just a dating website on the low.
Yeah, probably.
But the Facebook and the TikTok are just growing like weeds.
Mm.
And so there's constantly new people coming in, and they're confused at first. They're just like, what? Statins,
Yeah.
what? They're like, PPIs, what? Acid reflux, what? Like, what? What do you mean, my doctor, this, And then all the members here in our Zoom room, they're all used to everything. But just imagine being completely new and coming in yesterday. And you're just like, what? Say that again? What?
Yeah.
And so I have to continuously repeat myself and, start from ground zero. Every 3 days is ground zero.
Yeah.
Like, So I did a pop-up live over the weekend on TikTok for the first time in 6 months.
Oh, really? TikTok?
First time in 6 months. And man, a lot of new people.
Really?
A lot of new people. So.
Do you think when your book comes out, the new book, do you think that's going to like really put the fire?
Dude, bro. This next book is the one.
Yeah.
It's the one. It's
What'd you say?
It's Jay-Z Hard Knock Life.
You said it was a weapon of mass destruction.
It's a weapon of mass destruction.
Wow.
And it will be the biggest selling book. It'll be the most influential book. It's going to sell like crazy because it's a topic and that everyone can understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a full out like attack, kind of.
It's an expose.
Yeah. Whew.
It's going to be about the same size as Peace Over Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Short. It's going to be small, just like this. This is what people want. They want short and to the point. No jokes, no fluff, no nothing. Just a smack in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a wake up call.
Yeah.
And I think people can just take the new book and give it to their friends and family that are still asleep. And then if they want more info, then you go back and give them Peace Over Pain.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind, when I wrote this book, this little book, there wasn't a fan base.
Yeah.
There wasn't a fan base at all. None of you were here. None of you. Sean and Levi weren't even here. No, Karen was. I didn't even know who Karen was. This is a long time ago. It's a long time ago. So, the new book is gonna have a launching pad.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first book ever that is gonna have a launching pad. So.
And you're gonna have like actual like stories from people that we've worked with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still debating on how to present that part.
Mm-hmm.
We might do screenshots from social, but yeah, it's gonna be a little monster. So cool. That'll be probably May. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have the annual seminar.
Okay.
And probably getting an auditorium. So 300 seats if anyone can make it.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
We're just gonna give Levi a mic and see what he says in front of 300 people.
Hey,
Is this thing on?
Exactly. So really quick, I wanted to hop over to Coach Karen, and well, if Karen, if you had anything to say, you can say it. Did you have anything?
Hi, everybody. I have something to say. No, what's really intriguing to me is the FDA. How can they have food and drug administration together? Food, if it's processed foods, if it's fake foods, doesn't that mean it's feeding the drug administration?
Yep. That's correct.
Good point.
That is correct.
Almost like it's by design. Processed food. I heard that like over the subsidies that our government has is like 90% of it is processed food. Now, I can't like probably I would say around 90, like 80 to 90% is processed food. So the government is directly funding the processed foods that then go into people, and then the drugs come after it. That's insane. It's seems like, I don't know. It's crazy. But did you notice did anybody have any comments or questions in the members room?
Yeah, there's quite a few. A lot of people jumped on the Ozempic topic. And with that, a couple people were saying there's 15 different side effects.
Wow.
With that. Also, once you stop it, the weight comes back. And I met somebody, I want to say a month and a half ago, and she totally changed. She lost, I don't know, 30 pounds. She looked completely different. And she was about ready to get off of Ozempic. And I go, what are you going to do now? And she didn't have an answer for that. You know, and then of course I'm telling her gluten, oil, fried and fake, this is your answer. But she wasn't, her mindset wasn't there yet. So she's still in the medical system mentality. And I think that's the challenging part with drugs that help you lose weight. People are looking for the quick fix, and they think it's going to be the be-all end-all permanent solution, but they don't think about the ramifications of side effects or what could happen later.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Diet needs to change.
And you need to move.
Yeah. A couple other comments were Ozempic causes slow digestion and nausea is a big side effect.
Okay.
And also it causes stomach paralysis.
Paralysis. Wow. Jeez.
I would imagine as time goes on, since this is relatively new, these are going to be people that find us down the road that have more symptoms in our analysis symptom score because of trying something different. It's so hard to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then actually speaking of that, Coach Sean, could you talk about the benefits of doing the analysis, why that's so important for people? Because there might be some new people that are just listening for the first time and they like what we have to say, but they really don't understand where to begin.
Well, yeah, the analysis is that first step. It's testing all the other areas outside of the blood. And what Dr. Reese does, he focuses on his 3 macro methods: the posture, nutrition, and mindfulness. All of that is tested in the analysis. That's to give you your basis to understand what's going on in your body, what's happening as far as your root causes to your postural dysfunctions, your nutritional deficiencies. And with mindfulness, we give that to everybody because it's a stressful world we're living in, and people need to know how to deal with stress better. And that's why he recommends mindfulness for everybody. But it's a needed first step. You have all of these diseases. People always come to Dr. Reese. Hey, Dr. Reese, what do I do about my diabetes? What do I do about my arthritis? And he'll say, those are just names. Those are just names. You have to understand that like these diseases are just larger manifestations of symptoms, and you have to trace them back to the root. All of these diseases have a root. Some of them can have a different root. Like you can have a root cause, two different root causes, and it be the same condition. So from two different people, they can have two different root causes to the same disease. So we need to see the full story, and it starts with the analysis. So if you're interested in the analysis, just start by going to www.calldrreese.com.
You want to find out your symptom score.
Yep.
Once you know your symptom score, that's your starting point.
Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the membership, you're just working on bringing it as low as possible.
I had a big one that I just did.
How big?
This woman had a 38. I think it was a 30. Wait, it might have been a 42. I don't remember, but it was either late upper 30s or lower 40s, but it was pretty high. It's one of the highest I've ever seen. So
I think I know what you're talking about.
This person has a lot of work to do. Get in that membership and start working and start bringing the score down. Mm-hmm. Right? You always want your symptom score to be a 5 or less.